Hi guys, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Dmitry Karalov. I'm a pre-sale engineer in GCore Labs, and I'm responsible for cloud and storage, either from technical and commercial perspective. Today, we will discuss the most interesting ways of cloud usage and how workloads related to cloud help large enterprises to cope with their needs and to hit the jackpot from point of view of IT infrastructure. I want to introduce our participants and speakers. First of all, founder of this event, GCore Labs, which is a global provider with cutting-edge features and advanced security, which provides services for all modern web needs like CDN, hosting, storage, media platform, security, and cloud. From GCore's side, Vayner, head of cloud platform, will tell us about his view and approach to effective and optimal usage of cloud services. Hi, Vsevolod. And let me introduce our guests from top 3 of modern IT and telco companies. And I'm sure that these companies need no introduction because they are simply the best in their spheres and markets. Please meet Oracle, Microsoft, and CISCO. And participants from these companies, Oracle, Paulo Alberto Simoes. He's cloud native and blockchain specialist, developer advocate, will tell us about his experience with Oracle's cloud customers. Hello, Paulo.
Hello, Dmitry. Nice to meet you, and nice to meet everyone. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for joining us.
This is an amazing event. Thank you for inviting me for this webinar. It's amazing. Talk about how cloud is transforming the world from many perspectives. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So the second participant, our second guest, is Sarah Lin from Microsoft. She's senior cloud advocate, and she will bring us a presentation how Microsoft Azure helps customers to solve business needs and grow dramatically. Hello, Sarah.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And finally, for a session of question and answers, to us will join Jeff Luna. He is Chief Technology Officer from CISCO System. Hello, Jeff. So, what is the plan we have? Firstly, we're going to listen to our speakers, their brilliant stories about cloud experience. And after presentations, we will discuss these topics in fireside chat with questions and answers. And please feel free to ask your questions in chat. It will help me to fulfill our discussion with your interesting questions and ideas. So, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us. Let's start our webinar. This first speaker, Paulo from Oracle, and his speech about modernizing legacy applications, adopting a cloud-native approach. For your information, Paulo has really brilliant background, more than 25 years of experience in a variety of industries like telco, finance, and oil and gas. So, Paulo, you're welcome. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Dmitry. Thank you, Silva. Nice to meet you all. As I said, it's an amazing opportunity to talk about cloud. It's a very, very cool, new technical engagement for everyone. So let's talk a little bit about this. How we are helping, Oracle is helping our customers and the community to transform your daily lives, right? First of all, I want to say that we have here digital transformation, but this term is a little bit a buzzword. But I want to not talk about the common sense of digital transformation. I want to talk about how customers with use case it transforms their business. Not because they were not digital red, but because they are trying to do something more quickly, more consumerizable. Because cloud is defined by NIST, North American Institute of Standard and Technology, as a kind of use of technology as a consumerizable way. You can consume is technical resource, IT resource, and dispose this resource when you not need more. So this is a kind of digital transformation, not move from a traditional way to a digital way, but consuming technology on a fast way and transform your way to do things very quickly. Or you can quickly make mistakes and delete everything and try again. Try anytime, innovation anytime. So this is what cloud is. So let's talk about this opportunity in some customers, right? Just a first hurdle, let's say that it's just an information about what we are doing, not doing for specific contexts and so on. Okay, so let's talk. Oh, sorry. Let's talk first about our customer Lyft. Lyft accelerate insights. Oh, today we say that data is the new petroleum, is the new oil, right? Is the new gold metal. So really, when you have the good data and you have transformed the way you live with the data very quickly, you could give the better direction for your business. So Lyft started to this transformation using different kinds of cloud capabilities. But let's talk about just two. Just talk about one kind of deployment cloud deployment named SaaS, software as a service. In this case, ERP, where when Lyft consolidate more than 30 systems and improve the accounting and cut time to close by more than 15%, right? It is accelerate the customer experience. The focus here, when you accelerate your data, when you accelerate the way you lead with your data, you can accelerate how you attend your customer. So Lyft could accelerate the way that you lead with all stuff and get a better performance for the company using a consolidated ERP, using cloud ERP, cloud in the ERP form of SaaS. The second point of Lyft, for example, is the use of ADW. ADW, it's autonomous data warehouse. It's a service from Oracle Cloud focused on use Oracle database data warehouse as a platform as a service. And Lyft could accelerate the insights using the capabilities of machine learning, artificial intelligence from ADW. So this is a good case when you join two kinds of deployments, cloud deployments, SaaS and PaaS, to deliver a better business. From the perspective of insights, from the perspective of how we are receiving from our operational data and transforming this inside the data and could attend better our customers. So Lyft is a good case. Anyone can see this case. If you want for this QR code, you go to the site describe all the case and see the video. It's amazing information. Sorry, Jen here. Yeah. The other case, let's talk about healthcare industry. This is a very, very important industry. Nowadays, the most important, to be honest. So the point is, when you have the good information, when you have the quickly and very cited information about the patient, you can work better and attend better and save lives. So, for example, our customer perspectives, I should say this, but perspectives could ingest a massive data, patient data. It's very important to transform this way that they attend the customer and ingest this massive data inside the Oracle Autonomous Database warehouse, Autonomous Database data warehouse. That is, again, it's a cloud service that, and they could to enhance it, not only the capability to live with this amount of data, massive amount of data, but adopt, secure, and ensure the compliance with the HIPAA. That is so important because we could not open health data from the patient. It's very important transformation. And at the same time, they cut costs. So there is another point from the cloud that is named now cloud economics. The cloud brings to us a new way to live with cost, with dropping down the cost and live better with the amount of money invested in the assets for transform this investment in new opportunities to research or innovation. So when you save cost and use this amount of money to innovation, it's another approach very important in cloud. And healthcare, property healthcare could do this, adopting ADW and have a better perspective for data injection, data analysis, and other opportunities. Continuing about transformation and use of cloud, we have another example that I really love because I love CERN. CERN is great, really. CERN is loved by anyone. It's something that I present in films, etc., from Dan Brown, and etc. CERN has a good case, an excellent case. CERN adopted, again, ADW could lead and monitor more than 2 mega control signals in real time, and get reduced 10 times the storage to live with these signals, these control signals. It's amazing because they could get a better analysis about the data, preventing failures in the process, avoiding loss during the process. And this is amazing. Together with ADW, that could live with this a huge amount of data, control signals from CERN. They adopt ATP, other cloud services, PaaS, Platform as a Service, named Autonomous Transaction Processor, and can consolidate 10 times database, consolidated in one database, and at the same time, they adopt a new kind of architecture, named cloud-native architecture, using Kubernetes. Kubernetes, it's the basic for the new kind of deployment of modern applications. And they adopted Kubernetes engine, Oracle Kubernetes engine, and had 2 times more agile for users. So this kind of thing is adopt different services to increase the capability to lead with data and attend better the users. So this amazing case too. I was talking about the transformation of blockchain for the process. And in this case, for example, Cargo Smart, our customer, increased the trust and transparency of the shipping of the supply chain process, right? That is a very important thing because when you have a supply chain, you have many points of contact, and these intermediates have different data, different transactions. So when you have the supply chain controlled by a kind of blockchain, you can increase the trust between the parts. And at the same time, you have transparency. So it's amazing. It's amazing opportunity when you adopt cloud blockchain. And cloud bring to us the possibility to adopt very quickly a blockchain network, a blockchain technology. So this is another kind of adoption of cloud and a use case very, very interesting of adoption of cloud for an emerging technology that is blockchain. The other case and the last one for blockchain, it's a very interesting about from certified oranges because certified orange lead with track supply chain and certify the origin of the olive oil. This is amazing because, for example, Brazil. I'm from Brazil. Brazil sell many products from the agro business to countries from India, Japan, etc. And all of them have questions about the procedence, the oranges about from the product, and get this tracking, control this tracking, trusty, and certify them using blockchain. It's amazing, and that is what certified oranges do for olive oil, and adopting cloud blockchain in cloud. That's the second point of emerging technologies quickly return for the community, for the society. And the last one, and something interesting, very interesting. It's about another kind of deployment. Our last announcement for Dutch bank that had agreement with Oracle to move your database for a new kind of cloud deployment. What kind of deployment? Cloud deployment. Named private cloud or cloud at customer, as Oracle said, but private cloud. Oracle was the first one to do this with Exadata at customer. And this kind of cloud, Oracle Exadata cloud at customer, is the second generation. And this is so important because of compliance laws, etc., regulations. Some institutions could not move their data to the cloud, public cloud. So they need the same capabilities from cloud that is consumerizational infrastructure or technology, but behind their firewalls. And this kind of deployment, Oracle Exadata Cloud at customer, will help Dutch bank to modernize their database, increase the performance, adopt all the capabilities of cloud, but behind the firewalls. inside the data center from the bank. So it's another kind of deployment of cloud technology behind the firewalls inside the data, the customers' sites that will help customers to transform their way to do things and adopt and try and fail fast and at the same time increase the capabilities to deliver the better solution for their customers. So they are my I navigate from different cases to show the capabilities of cloud with customer examples. And I'm here to say to you, you can do this very simple, very quickly, and we can help you. Dimitri Silva, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I hope we can help you to know something more about Oracle Cloud. If you want to talk with me, it's just need to. Oh, sorry. Reach me in my social medias, right?
Yeah, just let me print screen your the last slide of presentation. Yeah, got it. Thank you so much, Paulo. It was really interesting speech about your customers, about experience of your customers. I'm sure that they are very happy, guys, that they are with you, with Oracle. Thank you. Let me check our chat about questions. Okay, no questions. Let's continue to the next. Now our next speaker is Vsevolod Vayner, head of cloud platform, and technical experience of Vsevolod is really outstanding. It's a cloud and edge platforms and services, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, function as a service business models, OpenStack, and decentralized platform. Okay, Vsevolod will give us some insights about cloud computing, about efficiency and cost effectiveness. Vsevolod, please, your turn.
Yeah, thanks, Dmitry. Hello, everyone. Nice to hear you there. Thank you very much to join to our webinar. And today, I will present our cloud use cases for business growth in 2021, our case studies, economic impact, technologies which our customer use in our cloud and our products as well, use a lot of services which will be very helpful for the business. Yeah, so we discussed about the infrastructure layer, but customers would like to build their own infrastructure. If we discuss about the small, medium, and enterprise customers, but mostly more and more customers, especially enterprise customers, also they use the platform services, use a lot of frameworks like TensorFlow, PyTorch, OpenVINO, or the exotic frameworks, for example, and serving their ML models in real time in our platform and integrate through REST API, ready-to-use model to their workloads, to their applications. I mean, so for example, face recognition, voice recognition, like for example, Siri or Alexa. So all of this part can be also developed by end customers and integrated to their applications. Also, managed Kubernetes is one of the modern tooling for build cloud native applications. So most customers would like to have the tooling to deploy Kubernetes per one click with the full access to their workers, Kubernetes workers, and of course to have after scaling and after healing features for the Kubernetes. And of course, integration with CDN, with DNS, and all of this stuff. Of course, we discussed about the functions as a service, where any customers can bring any kind of function to complete the small part of kind of task, for example. So function as a service can be more economically effective if we compare to deploy the separate virtual instance and bring up the new function. Yeah, so the function as a service can be more cost effectively. And of course, from the infrastructure layer, how I'd say it, so virtual instances, it's a good stuff to have the new resources fastly and ready to use for any kind of picks, or if we discuss about the stagings or development environment, it's a good fit and good stuff to build this kind of environment. But if we discuss about the big production or mission critical workloads or applications, of course, bare metal will be more suitable to install this kind of business application to this kind of infrastructure. So we provide for our end customers bare metal and virtual instances in the single page. Next one, it's about the introduce cutting edge technologies and how I say it. So AI platform, AI technologies, or IoT and AR, VR, it's are more and more useful for end customers, and how I say for AI, they can use face recognition for the for the banking system or fintech. A lot of cases when fintech companies integrate face recognition and can use the face to unlock accounts in the banking system, for example, or voice recognition when you speak with call center. Mostly, it's not a real person; it's already AI system which will be help with your questions, for example. So we have a lot of customers who already use AI platform and train their ML models, integrate to their workloads or application. IoT. So how I say it, so we have 100 plus points of presence in IoT. One of the big requirements for IoT is the nearest location per device, and the latency is the most important part of this technology. So we can provide the infrastructure the nearest with the end customer to provide the best latency between device and the server part. And AR VR platform, of course, most of big industries like oil and gas, healthcare use AR VR for education part, for training employees or remote consultants, and this kind of technology also use our customers. And 5G and the new telco already use the cloud public sector to provide the 5G and build 5G infrastructure, like gateway for building 5G technology also. The next one is focus on business goals. So the cloud saves time and money while fostering business growth. So one of our main goal to provide cloud resources for startups for free. So that means we provide some grants for our for startups up to 25K to build their infrastructure and grow fastly around the world. And it's our main mission for the startups, and we provide these investments for this kind of companies. Also, one of the big things about the cloud optimization, and we provide some tooling to build CI/CD. So we provide Terraform provider API to build their application deeply with infrastructure. So this is one of the big points for the new generation of companies who build their IT infrastructure like a code. And our marketplace will be helpful to deploy an application per click, like open source dev tools like Jenkins or Grafana or Prometheus, enterprise software like Oracle Database, for example, our own software like Meet to speak with your neighbors, for example, or your colleagues. So this is the conference tooling, and you can use and build our software in marketplace, and especially for the gaming. So our customers can deploy multiplayer game server in our cloud environmental or virtual instances also, or matchmaking system. Next one is expand market reach. So we provide the global infrastructure for our customers, and when customer would like to expand their business to the new markets, the new locations, so they would like to build their infrastructure with the well-known service provider, and we are provide the global infrastructure around the globe. So customer can easily deploy infrastructure in United States or South America, Europe or CIS region or Asia, no matter for us. And we will very close works with the end customers to prepare their architecture and prepare infrastructure for their needs. Next one is customer experience. I think so. This is one of the big points to collaborate between service provider or cloud provider and the end customers, because providing infrastructure or providing the cloud services, it's one of the points. Yeah, so the customer has, for example, self-service portal or API, and they will go to the knowledge base, find the necessary information, but not only infrastructure will help the end customers, because customer need to have some consultancy or some technical experience solution from the cloud provider to build architecture very natively and highly available in the cloud infrastructure. In our engineering team, our professional services will help end customers to build their application successful and with all well-known and best practice architecture and ready to use in the cloud infrastructure. So this is one of the big points when we work with the end customers to collaborate very deeply to build their workloads in their application in our cloud. Next one, increase collaboration of employees. So most of companies, most of the employees of the companies works remotely right now, of course. And as we saw and see at this time as well, so most of the customers use the cloud infrastructure as the VDI or desktop as a service to build remote notepad, if I can say, or computer remote in the cloud. So that means so everybody can work remotely everywhere on any device and provide more efficiency for the end user. So VDI and desktop as a service, it's really standardized for the new world at this moment. And of course, the security, one of the big points, of course, which we discussed some later. Next one is make data highly available. So backup system and especially disaster recovery solution, it's big points for the customers to build successful business application. And of course, infrastructure has some errors, some disasters, and the customers should have disaster recovery strategy if something will go wrong with the main data center or with main provider, they need to spawn their business application in the secondary data center or secondary cloud provider to continue working and continue providing business application and business resources for the end customers. And we are help with this kind of question and strategy to build disaster recovery solution for the end customers. So we can build the disaster recovery with the other public providers, with their customers' infrastructure, like physical machines or virtual infrastructure. We also provide the solution between our regions also, and the backup solution. Of course, this is the mandatory point to build infrastructure inside the cloud provider. So if you would like to save your data, create backup and check this backup. And the last one, ensure safety of the business data. And this topic about the encryption. Yeah, so we know about the 3 points of the data encryption: data in rest, when you encrypt your volumes; data in transfer, when you transfer data through a secure channel. I mean, so we use HTTPS, for example, and all of our web use HTTPS. And the last one, the new one, and not more customers use this technology, data in use. That means so application which use data in the RAM. Yeah, it's not secure way to collect this data. And if you use, for example, cloud providers or infrastructure outside of your data center, or maybe you can use in your data center, but you share these resources with another departments, with another projects. So you can use special technology to encrypt virtual memory, and nobody can try to get this data. So they will have the data in an encryption site. So this is data in use. And in our cloud, we use and provide the Intel SGX for our end customers, and they can build virtual instances with enclaves and use the bare metal with SGX support. So we provide this feature around the globe, so kind of customers can build their infrastructure and use Intel SGX to build their application safety and securely. Yeah, about our hardware. So we use the latest hardware and processors. So we already provide the latest generation of scalable Intel processors, like 5220R, 5320. And we provide up to 1 terabyte RAM in our virtual infrastructure, and we provide our default configuration of the bare metal instances based on Intel. If you have any kind of resources, or you would like to build disaster recovery solution, or you need to help to build your workload or application for cloud-ready infrastructure, so we can help with that and provide the latest hardware equipment for your application. And companies who trust their workloads in our infrastructure, there are TV channels, radio stations, banks, online stores like Metro, Volkswagen, Michelin, Joom, Avast, Bandai Namco, Bar Gaming, and a lot of other customers who trust their workloads in our infrastructure. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, or you need to help to build your application in the cloud, or you're looking for a disaster recovery solution, so please feel free to reach me, and we will help you to build the new generation of your business based on the best cloud infrastructure and solutions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Seva. It was really interesting, and all these points are necessary when you are choosing your cloud provider. All these points you need to take into account to be more precise and more correctly in choosing of your cloud provider. Yeah, thank you, Seva. Let's see with you on our fireside chat. And I want to remind you that please do not forget to ask your questions in our chat, and we will discuss them all during our question and answer session. So now I want to introduce our last speaker, Sarah Lin from Microsoft. Her background really outstanding. She has background and works with digital solution for over 14 years. And she's also the founder of the Glasgow Azure User Group. And today she takes a look at how organizations have been using cloud technology to help and solve business challenges they have and using the cloud, which impacts the overall growth of their business. The subject of her topic is using cloud for business growth in 2021. So, Sarah, hello, and please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for introducing me there, Dimitri, and thank you for having me today. As Dimitri said, the topic today we're going to be talking about is using cloud for business growth. Now, if we think about business growth and digital transformation, the question really is no longer if people are actually going to be moving to the cloud. It's more a matter of how and when they're actually going to move to the cloud. I think digital transformation is something that we've seen accelerated, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, and a lot of people have unblocked all the things that were blocking them actually moving to the cloud and looking to cloud solutions, and are starting to see the real impact that digital transformation and the cloud can actually give them as an organization. You know, I think when we look at how everything has changed recently out with of the pandemic, you know, we no longer go to our video stores to go and get like a DVD or a VHS tape on the weekend to try and watch a movie. We just reach for our TV remote control and we watch things like Netflix or Amazon Prime or, you know, other streaming providers. And that's totally changed how that market works. And if other organizations aren't keeping up with things that, say, Netflix are doing, then they're going to be left behind and they're going to find that their business growth is zero, to be honest. So I think a lot of companies are thinking differently about how they can impact not only their end users, but also their business growth as well. And as we can see, and as we'll be seeing during this presentation, there is a lot of companies doing that as well and using the cloud to transform their business for their business growth. Now, as Dimitri said, I am a senior cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I've been in the IT industry for well over 14 years now, which is a bit scary. But I'm a traditional IT pro, sysadmin, IT ops person, and I've, over the last few years, transitioned myself into someone that is more cloud focused, although I do still love my on-prem network and I do love a good server or two. But that being said, I've had to transform myself in order to where the IT industry is. And that's what a lot of organizations are trying to do and trying to focus on. Please do reach out if you've got any questions during this presentation, and we can try and address them either during what I'm talking about or at the end of it. Now, the first company that I want to showcase today about what they've been doing with digital transformation is a company called Base2, who are an IT service provider based in New Zealand. And this is a quote that they gave around how they've actually used the cloud technologies to not only solve some issues that they had, but also grow their business. So if we look at the quote we've got here from Base2, it says that 85% of outages and downtime have been eliminated by moving to the cloud, and also their profitability has been increased by 30% over the last 3 months. So I can only imagine how much they've grown, how much that's changed their business over a longer period of time. They've also said that the engineering hours required to actually maintain their environment in the cloud has been reduced by half. Now, what Phase 2 were doing with their providing services to the IT industry was they had 2 data centers in New Zealand, and they were running IBM and VMware stacks in those data centers. Now, occasionally there were things that happened that took down that infrastructure and caused outages, not only to their customers, but to themselves. And again, that was damaging not only their reputation, but obviously their customers' services as well. Now, some of those issues were things that they could maybe do better, but other issues were things that they were completely out of their control. What they decided to do in order to try and solve this was actually move their servers, move those IBM and VMware stacks into the cloud and host them into Microsoft Azure instead. And where they're seeing, like we said in the quote, they're seeing less outages, less downtime. They're also receiving much more profit from actually running their services there. And the maintenance of these servers has been massively reduced. The overhead that they have in terms of engineering hours has been reduced as well. So it's been a pretty successful project move for them. Now, if we look to why that has been happening for them, we looked at some of the stats around Microsoft Azure. Now, I think we've got over 60 regions. I don't think we've quite hit the magic 70 regions around the world yet with Microsoft Azure, but I'm sure we're not far off that. But that means that you have the flexibility to put your resources wherever you need them to be, whether that be in, say, New Zealand, or whether that be in America or somewhere else. You can put the resources where your company's based or where your end users are based so that you get the best latency and the best results for your end users. You have that flexibility quite easily at the fingertips within your mouse button as well. So it gives you that opportunity. Now, it's not just Microsoft technology that we run inside of Microsoft Azure. We can run Linux or open source or Red Hat. We've also got dedicated hardware and dedicated infrastructure for your workloads that are SAP or VMware or Oracle, NetApp and Cray as well. So you could lift your VMware stack. If you are a VMware house, you can move all of your VMware workloads into Azure using the Azure virtual VMware solution, where you can just take all of that infrastructure you have and put it into Azure, and suddenly you're in the cloud and you can start to leverage some of those cloud features. It's also a much more secure platform, if you'll beg me for saying so, because I think on the scale of what Microsoft invests in terms of security into their data centers, just from a physical point of view, is massive. And that's one of the things that we look towards when we're doing security with our data centers. That physical security, that barrier to get anybody into your environment initially. And then on top of that, obviously, you've got your securing of the data as well. If you think about some of the stories, and I don't know whether all of the stories that are true around what the Microsoft Azure data centers are like, but I've been often told that in the data center that's based here in the UK, in Ireland, there's actually tank-proof measures in place for that data center. So if someone was to drive up to the Ireland data center and try and get in, if they were driving an army tank or such like, they wouldn't be able to get in because we have defences that can actually handle that. So again, like I say, I don't know if that's a true story, but I just love that story. I think it just emphasises, the kind of security that we do have in terms of physical security. You've also got some of the stories where you hear that engineers are timed if they're having to do something in our data center. So they're timed on how long it takes them to walk from, say, their desk to one of the servers in a rack to look after a hardware fault. So say if they have to change a disk or they have to maintain something, they are timed from how long it takes them to walk to their desk, to that server, do that task, and then get back to their desk. And if they have taken longer than the time that we've timed them to do it, then they have to do a report. Again, this is not for any reasons that Microsoft are trying to control their employees. It's more about controlling that environment and making sure that someone isn't doing something nefarious inside of those data centers. And I think for me, those are pretty cool stories. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure if they're true, but that just shows you the level of security that we're going to in terms of physical security. Now, obviously, with a cloud provider, there is a shared responsibility model. So your cloud provider might look after your physical data center security, whereas your responsibility is to look after actually securing your data. So you make sure that you don't have the wrong ports open, or your admin account isn't open to the whole world and the password is password 1, for example, and anybody trying that could get into your data. So you do have to be mindful that when you do move to the cloud, you're not just thinking about them taking over all of the responsibility, and there's still a shared responsibility model in place there as well. Now, the second story that I want to talk about is actually Canadian Tire, based in Canada. Their name kind of gives that away. Their quote here is around Microsoft Teams, and they say that Microsoft Teams has helped every stage of their order and pickup process, and it's faster now. Now, this story originated from an issue that Canadian Tires had at the very start of the pandemic. They stopped anybody going into their stores, like a lot of countries, and instead they were doing pickups from the car park or from the side of the curb or the pavement, depending on where you are. And that was actually quite frustrating, not only for the staff at the Canadian Tire stores, but also the customers. The customers didn't understand this new system. They didn't know where to park. They didn't know when to turn up. Staff were getting frustrated because people were turning up when their orders weren't ready. And it was just creating a lot of chaos and a lot of stress for everybody involved, and actually doing some business and reputational damage to Canadian Tire during the pandemic. So what Canadian Tires did was actually turn to their IT department, their IT partner who they'd worked with before, and using a solution with Twilio and Microsoft Teams, it's managed to help with the workflow of people picking up their orders much better. So the communication with the customer is there now, and the staff. So no matter how busy the Canadian Tire team is, each customer has a place in line. They have a clear communication about the status of their order and precise instructions about when and where to actually appear so that they can pick up their package and their order. And I think this is kind of key. They've used technology to fix a problem that we might not have had we not had a pandemic. But it's shown them the power of doing this. And I'm sure this will be something that they'll continue even when hopefully the pandemic ends, where they're actually communicating with their customers much better for picking up orders within the store. Because I think we've all had the frustration where we maybe order something online to pick up at the store. We drive down to the store and it's not ready. Because the generic email that we got said that it would be ready within 30 minutes and the store hadn't actually adhered to that. So if there's much better communication with the customer, you get much better business value, because that customer will enjoy the experience and actually come back to you as well. Now, in terms of Microsoft Teams, I think we've probably all had to deal with Microsoft Teams over the pandemic. Everything's turned to virtual. And whether that be, Zoom's meetings or Teams meetings, we all have started to adopt Teams and use that as a communication method, not only for our personal communications. I know I've had some team meetings with my mum just to keep in contact with her, but also I spend a lot of time keeping up to date with all of my colleagues as well here at Microsoft through Microsoft Teams. And I think one of the stats that we released is saying that there's over 115 million daily users active on Microsoft Teams at the moment, which is just a phenomenal number when you think about that and think about all the things that it's having to do in the back end to facilitate those daily users. Now, organisations are looking beyond just the meetings and the chat. As we can see, Canadian Tire have looked towards Microsoft Teams to help with their order process and the communications with their customers. Obviously, in the back end, there's a lot more that Teams does. Teams can help you with your meeting agendas. It can help you integrate notes. It can integrate those third-party plugins like we have done at Canadian Tire with Twilio to try and help with communication. And we've recently just updated the Microsoft Whiteboard that makes it much more fun and much more easier to communicate with your team if you wanted to, do an architectural diagram in the IT department together and figure out troubleshooting as well. So Microsoft Teams is really helping customers not only solve their challenges, but also help with their internal communications as well. Now, the third story is around a bank based in Germany, so Finance Informatica, and they are actually undergoing some system upgrades at the moment. They're needing to fix some problems with some of their central systems. And what they're actually finding is that in order to build this new software platform that they're trying to make, their current solution of storing code and communicating with their staff isn't going to work. It isn't going to meet the needs that they need. They've recognised during some procurement and some key investigations that there are some things that they have to provide their developers, and there's some things that they have to provide in terms of the software product that they're making internally as well. So they've recognised that most developers that they employ or have in their department are looking to use Git as their versioning tool. So in order to store the code, in order to help maintain the integrity of the code, people are looking towards Git as the solution for that. So they have to provide a tool that interacts with Git as well. They also have really high standards in terms of their software development. Being a bank and being in that financial industry, they do have a responsibility to thousands of end users and millions of bank customers. That's obviously quite a key function for a lot of those end users and a lot of those customers. This new system that they're working on has to integrate with a variety of new systems and also with existing systems as well. They also have to be mindful that when they're developing this new code, they also have to store this source code for at least 10 years in an audit-compliant manner. This is something that their regulator says that they have to do. So they have to be mindful that picking a tool to use as their software development core system can actually meet that requirement. And what they've actually done is actually looking towards GitHub. They're actually going to be using GitHub to store their code and do all of their planning tasks around that. And if you look at their quote, they can see that GitHub brings development and collaboration together in one tool. So not only are they going to be using it to store their source code, but they're also going to be using it to talk to each other and communicate across the various different stakeholders within their business. If we look at GitHub, which is one of Microsoft's clouds, it is the largest developer platform that we have at the moment. And you can see some of the logos on screen of people that are actually using GitHub to either store their source code or, like the bank in Germany, they're also going to be using it for their software development and collaboration tools. There's some big names on that slide. And as you can see, they're using that quite effectively. With GitHub, it is a great repository just for storing your code. I know I use it for some of my pet projects and some of my projects to store it so as I know where it's all located, and also help others be able to help me and develop some of those coding projects that I'm working on, or even just share that so they can see it as well. So internally in organizations, that's great for people being able to share code, work together, especially if we are all remote and we're no longer around the same business room. We're not able to jump in a meeting room and start to look at code together and solve all of that. Now with GitHub, it doesn't just deploy into Microsoft Azure in terms of deploying that source code. You can use it on various different platforms. So it can be used to deploy code onto your on-prem environments, if that's what you're using, into Azure, into AWS, into Google. It has that ability for you to use it no matter who or what your data center is or where that is as well. Now, as we said, that bank is also using it for collaboration. So they have the mechanisms there to do Kanban boards. They can have conversations. They can have Wikipedia pages to store some knowledge and information. And like I said, if we are now all communicating and working from home, we have to have an effective way of being able to communicate in a way that is collaborative. And using things like the issues within GitHub or pull requests, we can do that. Or even just commenting on someone's pull request, we can do all of that within GitHub. And I have been actually working with a team on doing some of that with the Windows Package Manager software that's all hosted on GitHub, because that's an open source project. So it's been pretty cool to use that from a personal point of view. And I'm sure the Finance Informatica will also have the same advantages as well. Now, the last customer that I want to talk about is FedEx. Now, FedEx handles more than 6.5 million packages a day in 225 countries and territories around the world. One of those 6.5 million packages is a package I'm currently tracking and waiting on at the moment. What they found over a number of years ago is as their business grew and technology evolved, customer expectations changed as well. And in order to try and streamline operations and meet customers' needs, FedEx were actually looking to develop an analytics solution using machine learning that would help actually improve some of those tasks that their customers expected them to meet. Now, over a few years ago, they evaluated a bunch of platforms. They evaluated a bunch of solutions that were on-prem, and they found that nothing really supported what they wanted to do. It wasn't quite capable. Technology quite wasn't there where FedEx wanted it to be. However, recently, they've been reevaluating some of the Microsoft Azure technology and looking towards machine learning. So what they've done is used a bunch of the newer machine learning technology within Azure, such as Azure Databricks, Azure Machine Learning, Azure DevOps, and Azure Data Factory to try and support this automation that they want to do, meet those customer expectations that we talked about in terms of data processing, model training, model development, and being able to communicate with their customers and be a bit more effective with their development stages internally as well. If we look towards their quote, they were saying that customers expect timely and accurate information on their packages. I can agree, because I am definitely looking towards that package and hoping that it comes very soon. And they're looking to provide that to their customer with a database delivery experience. So that's why they're looking towards Azure Machine Learning to help build on that and actually look towards that for future products as well. If we have a look at where artificial intelligence and machine learning is going, we're seeing that 44% of global organizations say that AI and machine learning has actually reduced their costs. It's been able to help them boost that revenue as well over the last few years. So it's an important technology. However, when we also look at how AI is being adopted, we're seeing that there's a bit of a skills shortage at the moment. So not everybody has the skills capable of actually using some of this artificial intelligence and some of this machine learning technology that's available. So as people within IT, it's something that we have to be mindful of, and potentially there is a growth opportunity there for us if we wanted to go into that and maybe look at job security as well. So it's definitely given us a lot of food for thought in terms of what AI is able to do and where the technology and where the people are in terms of helping to deliver that technology to our organisations. Now, hopefully, this has given you a bit of an insight into how other organisations are using the cloud, and hopefully it's inspired you to actually start to think about how you can use the cloud technologies in your environment today as well. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a very fast 20 minutes. If you want to look more at some of the case studies that I've spoke about, please go to the link on screen, so aka.ms/cloud growth. You can get more information about the stories that I talked about. Also, my contact details are on screen if you want to reach out. But thank you so much for your time, and you hopefully found this presentation useful.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much for such interesting presentation. It was really incredible, and to have such number of services, it's brilliant cloud provider, Microsoft Azure. Yeah, thank you so much. And now we are ready to continue. And I want to introduce you Jeff Luna. He's from CISCO Systems and have Microsoft background in IP covering applications and infrastructure architecture and solution in Azure. Yeah, and with him we will discuss several questions about cloud and its usage. And also with us, Vayner from G-Core Labs. Hi guys, and let me start from first question. According to statistics of recent pandemic time, as you know, in terms that people and companies are working in a different rhythm, what can you say about first, recent usage of cloud of existing customers, and second, about those fresh companies, I mean their profile, that came into the cloud in the very first time? Who are they?
Great question. One of the things that we saw was a massive shift as a result of a lot of on-premise, on-site workers now having to work at home. So for a lot of folks, it made a major shift in how they thought about their IT assets, as well as where they really needed to put security and really foundational type of elements. So it impacted any type of business. So one of the biggest shifts that I saw were customers saying, help me put things in the cloud that normally existed on-prem. And it also exposed a little bit of the technical debt that customers had. They sometimes would tell me that we made all the right investments, but at the wrong time. In the light of a pandemic, it really required them to shift into a new way of thinking, which was to have very fast, scalable types of projects and taking those applications that meant the most to workers, colleagues, and customers and move them to the cloud for better access. It also did something else for businesses. As they were looking to grow their staffs, they also realized they didn't need as much real estate. So now the talent pool actually grew bigger. So I noticed a lot of customers being able to take advantage of the talent pool. So I saw customers in California not struggle to find security professionals. They were able to go anywhere in the world to find those professionals, as well as being able to have more follow the sun type of operations. So as different countries were used, now they had a global population of users to accommodate outside of their normal headquarters.
Yeah, Sieva, and what you are thinking about it?
Yeah, first of all, I'm absolutely agree with Jeff. So in our case, we saw the big growth our current customers, especially online businesses, online media platforms. So online cinemas like in the United States, for example, Netflix, but other big guys who use our infrastructure. Healthcare, especially telemedicine. So, for example, we provide the infrastructure for Luxembourgish telemedicine in our cloud. Most of companies works remotely. How it's said in my presentation. So they use VDI systems, desktop as a service, and of course, most customers goes online. So we had the big, and I think so, that the huge growth from the current customers, and we have the new one customers who moved to the cloud. So we discussed with the vendors to provide more equipment, and we are waiting for the shipment because COVID and all of this stuff. So we try to work with risk management, how to provide more resources with current infrastructure and how to balance our hardware between all of our customers. By the way, so this is good point, and we are the company who help migrate their resources to the clouds, and I'm very appreciate to help these kind of companies to grow their business in this time and be safety also, and provide the resources for their employees and work safety.
Okay, next question. Imagine the same pandemic circumstances, and we have two camps of users, platform as a service users and infrastructure as a service users. Which one has more intensive usage? What do you think?
I think that a lot of customers that will relive history. There will be customers that will have typical infrastructure as a service. And as they go and scale their applications, but their users are geo-distributed, they might have some issues with that scalability. I also think that a lot of customers using PaaS applications will have that capability. It's now up to the providers to make sure that it's globally and readily available, as well as maintaining security, maintaining those connections, and putting in enough automation that really helps with that scale. So in the earlier presentation, we heard about some of the concepts that really help with global scale. And that's really important to make sure that everyone's accommodated, equal access, and there's accommodations for new technologies that may come in the future that require providers, customers, and enterprise organizations to really shift from where they are today and to be able to have that planning as part of a cloud center of excellence. So they think about these scenarios ahead of time and they work with their partners to really establish what is that playbook.
Yeah, so about the global coverage, so this is the main point for the global companies who provide their business around the globe in United States, Europe, and especially we provide the infrastructure for CIS who grow their business in the Russia or the specific CIS countries, Asia. So all this stuff is very important. If we discuss about the legacy systems, one of the big issue is to scale this kind of legacy systems. And legacy systems are the business or mission critical systems for the end customers as we work with this kind of customers. The new projects, the new developments from the big enterprise customers already use the cloud native application or microservices architecture. So they built already cloud native applications. They use Kubernetes, they use CI/CD pipelines, they use infrastructure as the code, like a Terraform, and all of this stuff. Yeah. So if we discuss about the legacy transformation to the cloud native application, this is the real challenge for a company who would like to do that. So the main questions are, do you really want to transform your application to the cloud native? What about the risks? So if this application like business or mission critical, you cannot accept all risks when you try to transform your application, or maybe build the new one application will be more economy effectively and more fastly to build from the scratch. Yeah, so this is the more and more customers, small startups, SMB, and enterprise customers, enterprise companies already use the cloud native application and Kubernetes like the I think so, it's number one container orchestration tool, which already used around the world. And most of cloud providers provides managed Kubernetes to build Kubernetes cluster per click.
So you said you talked about legacy design, and what is it from your point of view? Generally speaking, what do you need to avoid in your IT infrastructure?
Yeah, legacy system, it's an old system where you cannot grow fastly, grow and scale in one time. It's a big, huge monolith system. Yeah, when you try to create the microservice architecture to provide the end application more reliable, high available between availability zones with legacy system, it's unreal. Yeah. So this is about the legacy, and maybe some kind of already cloud native application, we can say, so this is legacy, and maybe we can try to use the new type of frameworks or libraries or tools, software, which will be more suitable and more effective for the end application to provide the low latency and fast response application for the end customer. Yeah, so this is my point of view about the legacy system, and especially if we discuss about the also enterprise or SMB. So I have some experience who use the mainframes for the end application. Yeah, so this is super legacy systems. By the way, so most customers use virtual instances or physical infrastructure because they cannot use the containers to build their application inside the container. So it's also kind of legacy system. By the way, so as the cloud provider, we fully understand that. So we need to provide infrastructure to build their application. If customer has legacy application, so they can use our infrastructure to store their application, legacy application in our infrastructure. So we provide the service level agreement for this kind of applications. And of course, we provide the infrastructure for the cloud native applications, like platform services, Kubernetes, managed databases, function in the service, and all of this stuff. So we try to combine these two types of application in one single infrastructure, in our infrastructure as well, because the customers has both of applications, of course, and they would like to have one single infrastructure point to build and store their application inside this infrastructure. Most customers, especially, discuss about the disaster recovery for the both types of applications. And of course, it's more difficult to build disaster recovery for the legacy systems to replicate all of this data from the primary location to the second one. And so you need to synchronize replication between all of these locations. For the microservice architecture, so you have the stateful, stateless application. So you have the more flexible how to build a high available solution or disaster recovery solution for your application.
Seva, thank you. And Jeff, something to add?
Absolutely. When we think about scalable architectures to the cloud, it's really about choice, flexibility, and capabilities. So being able to add additional capabilities, and Seva mentioned legacy applications, that's what healthcare is a lot about. So legacy applications are usually those things that drive revenue for organizations, and looking to modernize those things, whether it's through microservices or through other types of cloud native type of tooling, really helps with scale, performance, as well as kind of driving a little bit of that legacy aspect out and helping to modernize applications. So the more customers can really focus on that, they usually become more cloud enabled and cloud prepared.
Reasonable. So next question. A lot of modern companies are technically perfect at the same time when they are not about IT. And for example, their sphere is retail or transport or finance. And one of the key benefits of cloud sounds like, do not think about IT. Focus on your own business. And where is that thin line between traditional infrastructure and cloud approach? And what you can recommend to our listeners?
Yeah, one of the things that I always saw was the consumerization of data. And that consumerization really drives consumers to go and ask their data stewards to do more with their data. So labeling, identification, tagging to maintain compliance is especially important. And this is where sometimes IT organizations were overwhelmed, or they didn't have complete information to really meet the standards that organizations were looking for. This caused a lot of business units and organizations to kind of move forward without IT. And the practitioners of IT, they saw it as kind of rogue actions. But when there's a cloud center of excellence where the requirements are kind of brought to the table, IT, security, business planning, and partners come in to really help look at everything from different perspectives is really important. I used to conduct a lot of cloud architecture design sessions where we're looking at the things that customers already have so they don't have to repurchase and figuring out ways to remain compliant. So as an architect and an architect director, it was always about making sure that we are choosing the pieces that help customers remain compliant, whether they're in finance, retail, healthcare, so forth. And this is because the data is so rich and consumers have rights on their data. So whether it's EU regulations, whether it's regulations in the United States or in other parts of the world, IT practitioners really have to be aware of that and plan properly.
Yeah, absolutely agree that data is the most, I would say, so this is the main goal and main petrol for the companies. And most of companies, if we can say so, retail, healthcare, oil and gas, any kind of industries. So fundamental department is IT. Yeah, and most of the companies would like to say we are IT company in retail, or we are IT company in fintech. Yeah, so we provide fintech technologies, but we are IT company or move to the IT. And most of big companies would like to build ecosystem to provide more and more IT services based on their infrastructure also. from the IT perspective, of course, in-house services and in-house IT infrastructure based on security reason, of course, and collect all of these data inside the data center. This is the main goal from the security department. But most cases, when the big guys who has the big security department build DevSecOps, and they already use the public clouds where they collect for example, sensitive data, because these kind of cloud providers provide the security infrastructure, and they have the necessary certificates to provide the securely store of this data. And the hybrid clouds is the one of the big interesting points where a customer can build the same cloud which they use, for example, like a GCore or AWS or any kind of cloud providers, and they can use the same cloud in their infrastructure. So cloud provider will build the private solution inside the customer's data center, integrate through their gateway to connect to the public cloud. So end customer can build the instance inside their data center, like a region, the new region, and they can use, all right, so I would like to build locally in our data center. And if they would like to grow in another regions, for example, new markets, so they can use the public clouds to bring their infrastructure in the specific location. So the hybrid clouds, the ecosystems, and IT in the first place for the company, I think so. This is our future. So all companies, most of companies will be called IT company, which provide any kind of services like retail services, fintech services, healthcare services, and something like that.
Yes, and to add, Seva, every company is becoming a software company. So we have seen a lot of companies really pivot from being just an IT practitioner to becoming software developers, whether it's low-code methods or they're hiring new talent from around the globe. And this is where I think there's a major shift happening, that consumers are realizing that products are getting better and they're making it easier to access over mobile devices. So think of, Wi-Fi 6, think of 5G. This is the opportunity forthcoming.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, mobile devices is our all. So guys, we have limited time, and I need to ask you the last question. And the last question is a very simple question. If prospect is already in cloud, which features you will offer him for helping his business to grow?
I would start here, which is the ability to connect securely, to automate, and to provide really first-party services. So any company that has the opportunity to leverage cloud, it's really about flexibility and choice. I saw a lot of on-premise IaaS services was more about control, having control over it. And as we see more of a shift to cloud, it's really more the PaaS services that provide the automation, the fluidity, and going out and really helping customers, create an application experience that's meaningful, that has flexibility, and can be microtized for any type of device. And this is where I think a lot of strategies are changing for a lot of organizations, where they now are realizing what it takes to deliver a real end-to-end solution and to use telemetry to improve upon those experiences.
Yeah. I would like to add, so managed services will help to bring their infrastructure in the cloud. So managed services already used for most of customers when they would like to build the cloud infrastructure. So if solution architect can help to build the right architecture with monitoring, with alerting system, with effectively using infrastructure. So this will be more helpful to build success application and success business to provide the end service for the end customer. So I think so managed services. And after that, so of course, infrastructure, platform, software services, function services, AI services, and all of this stuff. But mainly it's communication between the service provider and customer. So this is the main goal, to understand the requirements and the pains from the end customer.
Great point, Seb.
Long story short, to have a full complex of services to handle all requirements of customer. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for your joining. And it was a really great performance, and it was really helpful for our participants, for our listeners, and I'm sure that in future we will all our customer will create their clouds within our companies, and we will handle them all. So thank you very much. All these topics and recordings will be sent to your emails. So have a nice day. Have a nice
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Take care.